Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Wrap-Up presented to you by The Conversation Project. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, the curator of things around here, but today it's not about curation, it really is about literally you. We're going to give to you in this podcast the top 10 stories for the week per you. Now, all week long, we give you stories every weekday morning. On Mondays 10, on the rest of the week 8, that are some of the top stories of the time frame. For Monday, we give you the top stories of the weekend, and for the rest of the week of the day, but we choose from a larger sampling. So for Tuesday, for example, we'll take the top 15 stories and give you 8 stories that work a great narrative in what's going on. Today, this weekend, we give you the weekly wrap up, the top 10 stories per your pure engagement score. We'll explain how engagement score works, but all these stories I'm giving you are just straight from the heart and the hates and the thumbs ups and the thumbs downs from you in our engagement on our social media. For some perspective, we'll give you stories that aren't quite there, the almost rans, we call them 11 through 15, not in the top 10 stories. And for some real sort of eye-opening perspective, the story at the very bottom of the list every single week, we call it the almost relevant story of the week. This week is story number 214. That's how far down it is from what happened at the very top. We'll go to the storylines from 10 to 1, count them down, just like Casey Kasem did back in the day for the Billboard Hot 100 charts. We're going to give it to you here from the news that we gave you from the Conversation Project. So make sure you stop by our website, which is thisisaconversationproject.com. Stop by the website so you can enjoy all week long what we provide for you in various forms, including the daily things you might have heard and other things to give you some news insights and some fun stuff along the way. We also want to invite you to go to our go to your email machine and email us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com for any sort of insights you want to give to us. We'll go deeper into the feeds, but we're on Facebook and Twitter, and every 50 minutes we basically post a new headline from different sources for you to engage in. As you engage in those stories, the likes, the loves, the hates, the shares, that gives us the engagement scores for the daily show and the true scores for the weekly show. Let's go ahead and get into the scores, if you will. As we said, count them down from 10 to 1. This is the weekly wrap up for the week ending September the 2nd, 2023. My first story, which is technically the 10th story of the week, starts off with the headline, AMC movie theaters to play Taylor Swift concert film anticipate Ticketmaster woes. I read that headline a little too fast, but on Thursday we posted this one, and a big bunch of news and a big bunch of money coming out of this one. This actual sale for tickets to this one set records for first day sales for this concert movie. But for all you Swifties who haven't got a chance to see the Eras Tour live because the tickets cost too much in Ticketmaster, you can see it in a movie theater near you in October. Why am I talking about it now? Because the tickets are going very, very fast. AMC has reached out to the Swift folks who get this a nice job, so you get a good seat in the house and get the experience with all the other Swifties for this big concert event inside a movie theater. Now, AMC has beefed up their security and beefed up their security online to make sure that tickets don't go as bad as Ticketmaster has done for Taylor Swift in particular and many big time stars in general. So far, so good, and lots of money being made in what's going on. The tickets going right now about $20 for an adult and about $14 for a child, so, and seniors as well. So get your tickets now so you don't miss out on this one, because chances are, as it gets closer and closer to October, like literally the concert movie is not out till October, you're gonna have a hard time finding a seat. The story at number 9 this week has the headline, is Iggy Azalea Saudi Arabia show ordered to end after pants ripped? Iggy Azalea has a big new single that came out last week, and to celebrate, she gave basically one of those, special performances out in Saudi Arabia because that's where all the money is and that's where all the sort of play is. The problem is the rules of engagement, as in the rules of its basically modesty, pretty big in Saudi Arabia, as in most of the Muslim countries, such as those countries. Even though the rich mullahs and sheiks are bringing in the sexy, sexy actresses and singers to do these things, they can't be quite as sexy, sexy in the performance. And this is exactly what happened as the show started. Her pants ripped and the show was over pretty gosh darn quickly. They don't let this thing happen, period. So that's what happened. The whole story is she went to do a performance, which should have been great and probably was going well. And then when her outfit ripped and showed a little skin, it was done. No replay, no change of, no, they didn't throw a burger on her. She just got off the stage and it was done. I'm sure somehow they got their money's worth for just the show, but it is how things are done over there. Many people are still clamoring for the end of Chuck Todd, and Chuck Todd's end is coming, I believe, this week with the replacement for Meet the Press. But while he's still hosting the Sunday show, he had a little bit of a tiff with Vivek Ramaswamy last week. Actually, Ramaswamy did two shows last week. The one we're really talking about here, when Chuck Todd threw out a question about Mike Pence back from when they had the whole debate thing, which seems like forever ago, but it was only like 10 days ago. Chuck Todd asked Ramaswamy if Mike Pence should have overturned the election results in 2020, and Ramaswamy sells Chuck Todd that Mike Pence should have overturned the 2020 election results for Donald Trump. That became the biggest speaking point, the biggest point from his weekend traverses from last weekend. Essentially, Ramaswamy, who's running against Donald Trump, also calling him the greatest president in our lifetime, but is trying to take his job from him before he takes it back, saying that Mike Pence should have made Trump the president already, so Vivek Ramaswamy would not have this point. Actually, technically, if Trump was president right now, he'd have no chance to run, so technically it'd be better for Vivek Ramaswamy. Sorry about that. It's a whole lot of crazy for a guy who seems like a smart guy, but is offering up what sounds like a whole lot of crazy. This is not an indictment against anyone who votes Republican, who is a conservative, or who is a person of color, as he actually is. What it is literally listening to the words coming out of his mouth and then having a brain to say, these aren't connecting, because they really aren't. At number 7, we tried to avoid the story. We actually talked about the divorce. But this is one little wrinkle that came up in OK Magazine, so it's tabloid-y. But essentially, Britney Spears and Sam Asghari are no longer living with each other because they're working on the divorce thing. Britney believes that Sam was secretly working with her dad to bring her down from the beginning, the whole marriage, everything going on. It was a way for her dad, who gave up the conservatorship and gave up the rights to control her life, to still control her life via the surrogate of Sam Asghari. Now, it's all sort of nuts at this point, so it is what it is. The Free Britney movement has turned into kind of a, well, maybe Britney needed some watching movement, and this is not to say that she cannot take care of her affairs, but what we've seen after a little less interaction from her dad and all the family sort of pulling away and letting her handle her affairs is things that are pretty unstable. Per reports, her adult-ish children or older-ish children, teenage children, don't want to talk to her because she's doing all this weird, crazy stuff online. She wants to have more babies, but Asghari wasn't all into that initially because businessman and yada, yada, yada. I'm with Britney Spears. And it's all turning to a bit of crazy because, remember, it was Sam who actually filed divorce papers because Britney's erratic and semi-incoherent. As we said, Britney believes it was all a plot from her dad to keep control of her. We shall see this play out in the celebrity tabloid world of lawsuits, because I watch a lot of lawyer people on YouTube, and we're going to see this play out in the tabloids because she's Britney Spears. Number 6 story went a whole lot of crazy, a whole lot last week, and the headline we posted on Saturday to kind of kick things off was, FIFA suspends Spain soccer chief Luis Rubiales and coaches resign over unwanted kiss with Women's World Cup winner. Now, the beginning of this is Rubiales is the chief of Spanish soccer, Spain soccer, the guy over. He'd be the guy who runs the president. He'd be like the Colangelo did for USA Basketball, just sort of running things for Spain. After Spain won their World Cup, like right there on the scene, he grabbed the player, kissed her on the lips, and went on about his business. The player was like, huh? The team was like, what? And Spain was like, what the hell's going on? He said he did nothing wrong. The kiss was consensual because I guess she was standing there. She says, yeah, we ain't an item. We ain't nothing. This shouldn't happen. And because that, FIFA has rained down on the Spanish soccer chief. Meanwhile, Spain, the country, are backing the Spanish soccer chief, while Spain, the country, are kind of not down with the soccer chief. It's really weird and really kind of all mixed in there. People are resigning. People aren't playing. He's not giving up his spots. It's all sort of insane over there, but they get their first World Cup win for women. So there's that. Lost in all of this, but there is that. The story at 5 this week headline reads, UK flights grounded by technical issue with air traffic control. And now this is something that, we US thinks that the US is a issue, the us here, that, our systems are failing, our systems are old, our systems have issues. No, apparently this is a worldwide thing, as technical issues with technology is becoming an issue. And UK flights were grounded in various cities, various large airports, because of a large traffic glitch on Monday, sending issues from places like Heathrow and also in other places. It was just a big old thing where various airlines from various places just could not operate at all because of the chaos from the air traffic control system, grounding lots of flights from all of London, all of England, all of UK, does start to bottleneck for a whole the rest of the world, fortunately or unfortunately. Actually, pretty much all unfortunately. It took a day or so to get things cleared out, and everything is flowing more or less okay. They're not dealing with a Labor Day holiday, so they don't have to deal with that this weekend, but they are dealing with this better conditions, or at least working conditions, for the air traffic control. At number 4 this week, Angels Chase Silseth taken to hospital after being hit in head by teammates' errant throw. Sometimes you're just standing in the way of the ball. It happens, and it happened to Chase Silseth, who was hit in the back of the head by a ball that ricocheted off the head of New York Mets first baseman Trey Cabbage. It was that crazy. The play started with the runners in first and second base. Lindor took a large lead, prompted McNeil to run to second base, and Cabbage threw the ball across the field. Infielder tried to catch Silseth, but then Silseth in the head is where he got caught, popped in the back of the head, taken off to the hospital to be checked out. Some words were exchanged by some of the managers, but this is one where, unlike last week where the benches cleared like twice in an inning, no actual fists were thrown for this incident. And as far as we know, Silseth is doing well. Number 3 story this week, multiple people have been killed in a shooting at Dollar General store in Jacksonville, Florida. This is the opening headline we had for the story. This, of course, is the basic part of the story. The extension of it is 3 people totally killed at the Dollar General. The short version of what happened is a man traveled from another county with a notion to kill black people, because that's what he had on his mind, went to a historically black college in the area, changed to his gear, loaded up his guns, was confronted by security officers. Hey, dude, why are you here? Leaves there, goes to Dollar General with the intent to kill black people. He starts shooting people. He calls his father. Hey, open my room. You need a screwdriver. Check out my computer. Father does that. Calls police. Unfortunately, the shooting's already on the way, so that you can't stop that. The police in the area are, for what I can say, happy that the carnage was essentially as small as it was. As they arrived, the gunman basically shot himself with what was going on. So it didn't get as big as it would. And of course, they don't know what the plan was at the college, so that could have been a larger thing. So they're happy for that. Unhappy that a person travels into their city with nothing but truly malice in their heart. Now, go deeper into detail of all these stories. There's plenty of them out there. His name's out there, all that stuff. You want to find that, you can find that. The original story we posted on Saturday is in the notes there to get things started. That headline and that write-up should have been changed a few times in the process. I don't have the full write-up here in the notes here, but it's essentially simple. It's the number 3 story of the week, and we'll explain how number 2 and 1 are sort of silly in comparison, but it's pretty simple to see how this one got so much response this week, and it's because of what it is. We're not going to editorialize the shooting culture stuff because we've done that many times, and we'll have plenty of chance to do that further going. We do want to make sure that the thoughts and prayers are going out to the people who are dealing with this right now, and oddly enough, to people who will deal with this in the future, because gun violence is not going away. Murders like this will never stop. We just hope to educate more people so that they have better mindsets and so that there are less of this happening. We don't want this to become a rash thing, something that's happening as a trend right now. Right now, there are still lots of people being shot every single weekend for this year. We're still in record mass shootings for the year. Let's see what we can do to bring the temperature down a little bit. The number 2 story, I'm just going to read the headline, take a moment to pause, and go deeper into sort of whatever reflection is there, because it's a very simple story. Drea de Matteo, who played Ariana La Cerva on The Sopranos, has launched an OnlyFans. Okay, this is your pause for effect. More pause for effect. I'll take a sip of coffee for more pause for effect. Take a deep breath, compose myself, and go into what's literally just 2 lines of details. The former Sopranos actor is on OnlyFans because everyone is. The 51-year-old actress is there with a page that's live, and she's actually having some issues with it. Essentially, she needs to clean it up. She's getting comments that it's not quite up to snuff. However, it's her first foray into adult entertainment on the OnlyFans. Not that it's the only thing at OnlyFans, but it's the only thing people really go for at OnlyFans. So she is showing some racy stuff at the OnlyFans. Her account, of course, known for playing Adriana on Sopranos way back when. Still getting it done, apparently. Now you can check her out for your own enjoyment for a fee at OnlyFans. Quick little pause for effect as we get to the stats in order, because we're going to sort of follow it up with a story that's more or less the same vein. This is the #1 story for the week, and we always give it more fanfare because it gives us some perspective of what we worked with for this week. This story was the top story on Twitter this week, X this week. By the way, the story on Chase Silseth was the top Facebook story for this week, just by the way. The story is more engaging than the story we just talked about Drea de Matteo, by 59.81%, about 60%. It is more engaging than the story at the very bottom of the list today, 214, by 1,065,900%. That's how many people cared about this one that had no caring about the other one. This week, that story might be kind of a non-starter, but that's what you have here. The story got 18.59% of all engagement of all stories this week. About 20% of all the engagement this week went to this story. The headline reads for this story: Bad Bunny posts nude selfie, rocks K necklace, shares new video seemingly featuring Kendall Jenner. Now, Bad Bunny is a person that I spend way too much time with in my sphere because I don't listen to his music because I don't speak Spanish. It's kind of cool, but I don't speak Spanish. When I worked in television and managed a station, or managed a production booth that managed a whole bunch of Univisions and Telemundo stations, we heard a lot of music in the background, all that Spanish stuff, and it was great. Now I'm not in the demo, so Bad Bunny is not in my main foray of what's going on. Him dating Kendall Jenner, that is, in the realm of innuendo and just being nosy for celebrities, that's sort of there. So when Bad Bunny posts some nude selfies, seemingly to show his love or his affection or his junk to Kendall Jenner, we put it out there because we put out stories all the time. And you wanted some Bad Bunny. You guys really, really wanted some Bad Bunny bad this week. That's why this is the top story for this week. Just a couple stories, just a couple pictures on Instagram made so much hit. One, the whole nude selfie thing. The other was a video they had that supposedly had Kendall Jenner in it. Now, they've been seen together basically in, sucking face to a bit at a Drake concert and other places out there in the world. So their togetherness, their actual relationship, not a surprise, not a secret. Unfortunately, I'm way out of the demo to care. It is what it is. But you cared. Even though our stats tell us that our standard guy is like a 45-year-old dude, you either care about Kendall Jenner, which is interesting, or Bad Bunny, which is just as interesting. So your top story for this week, it's all about some Bad Bunny, and it's literally all about some Bad Bunny. So the supplemental podcast to this supplemental podcast is called the story of the week. And the story of the week is one where I'll go into deep detail, about 15-20 minutes of commentary on one of the stories you picked in the top 10. That's basically the handcuff. Is I can't just roll off on any random story. I can in other pieces, but I will spotlight one story that you said was worth talking about. This week, here's where we went with it. And this is simple. We just take the stories and we move them out of order from top 10, from 10 to 1, and we sort of battle them out piece by piece to see which one is stronger to get the top stories. What we ended up this week was going for story at number 7, and that is Britney Spears believing that Sam Agashi was secretly working with her dad. And the angle we're going to take with this is sort of a sympathy for Britney Spears, but sort of a let's say a sort of conviction of us for caring about someone as a star, as a person, as a famous person, and maybe not quite understanding what exactly she was going through. All the hate can begin in about 3 or 4 hours when that gets released after this one's released. So you can hate me for that. However, that's where we're going today. The runner-up was Drea de Matteo and her OnlyFans page, because anytime I put OnlyFans on here, I get clicks, I get eyeballs. It's kind of why I do this. But the bigger thought on that is, why are we going towards all these things? I may do a smaller little commentary, a little TikTok for this one, a 60-second one as for the weekend as well. But we're going to talk Britney Spears. We're going to talk a bit about her conservatorship. We're going to talk a bit about her maybe paranoia and why we need to be careful in the folks we back, literally. That's it. Your top 10 stories of the week, plus what we're previewing for the story of the week. Well, coming up in just a moment, a quick break for a commercial and some promotion. Then we're back to give you some perspective. The story's not quite in range for top 10 because they're 11 through 15. And the story's so far away, no one seemed to care. And this week, it's not so much almost relevant. This one is actually one that you probably don't really care about. I didn't particularly care about this one as well. So we'll tell you what story got the least amount of love for this week, coming up in just a bit here on the weekly wrap up for the week ending September the 2nd, 2023. Let's talk about Zenni Optical for a moment. Zenni Optical is the place to get your new pair of glasses. It's going to be a maybe life-changing experience for you, because it is for me every single time I get new glasses. I hate to say, the whole, I get an epiphany every time, but this is something for your eyes, for your life, for your just going forward. I have been struggling with my glasses for a while to come to the actual fruition that my last batch of glasses, which I got from Zenni, had a little extra tint on them, which if you're watching the video, you can see that they're there now. It was the tint that was starting to erode on the glasses, so I couldn't figure out why. They just could not seem to get clear. And so because they are extremely affordable, I could just simply order a new pair of glasses from Zenni. Now, I order them a little ahead of time for my eye exam, so they'll need to be changed again, but it's not going to really break the bank because I'll have a spare pair of glasses because they're really inexpensive. I've been wearing the same frames for over a decade, and I've got them all from Zenni Optical, and they are amazing. They're inexpensive frames. They're also inexpensive lenses, and if you want more expensive frames and lenses, you can get all the designer stuff you want to. You can get all the technology you want to. Blue blocker type lenses or transitions type lenses or stronger lenses for sports glasses are there. Fashion styles for men, women, and children, they will take good care of you because they don't cost as much. You don't have to spend $100 to send glasses back. Buy the pair of glasses you want to, and if they don't work well, send them back. Just send that pair back and be done with it. They'll send you your money back. They'll do that. Check out our link. This is our affiliate link so that we get a little bit of pay for bringing you into the store, our commission, if you will, at thisisaconversationproject.com/Zenni. This is aconversationproject.com/Zenni, Zenni. We are very proud to be a part of the family with this. And we did have, as endorsed for a while, those other guys, but it was because I couldn't find a link to Zenni, the guys I actually work with. And I have bought every single pair of glasses I have owned, and sunglasses and sports glasses for over a decade from the same place. You will be amazed. You will be surprised. You will fall in love with your next pair of glasses that comes from Zenni Optical. The Conversation Project lives online at thisisaconversationproject.com, where you can find details of what we do every single day, literally every single day, on the online stuff. 5 days a week, we give you the things you might have heard update for news every morning, although most people get to see that in the later video, so it's not so much morning anymore. And we also give you this thing here, the weekly wrap-up on the weekend, plus story of the week, and various little hits of news and information, and sometimes really cool just kind of facts in the short videos on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. How can you find where we are? Start by going to the website and find ways to get to every place we are. What can you do with us? This is where I talk about the feeds. You vote for these stories I talked about here and the stories we talk about every single weekday morning by going to our feeds on Facebook and on Twitter, now called X. On Twitter, it's th_conversation. On Facebook, it's This is a Conversation Project. And you just go to the sites as you're checking your normal Facebook and your X and seeing what's happening there. Check out our stuff, see what's in our feed. And if you see a story we're posting out there, various sources, some you'll love, some you really won't love. But the stories are going to be interesting and engaging. And how interesting and engaging they are is based on how engaging you are with them. Like them, love them, hate them, share them. Go back a few hours and see if there's other stories you missed because you want to be into the deal. And every single weekday morning, we give you a smattering of the top stories in that batching. And for this thing here, we give you the pure top stories so you know what stories you cared about. Yes, we talked about Bad Bunny with naked selfies because that's a story that you folks cared about the most. 20% of you guys said, we're talking about this. That made the difference. Find out more about what you can do to help us out by going to the website, visiting our sponsors page and seeing more sponsors, and check out the partnerships page. If there's a way that we can connect to make this thing better, we thank you in advance. One of the biggest things you can actually do is email us at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Everybody's got a Gmail address. It's one for this show and one for the Conversation Project as it is. And you can tell us what we can do better or sometimes what we can do that's not as worse. Because often it's about not being as bad as opposed to being better. We thank you for all the love and attention you give to us, all the comments you give us to the videos and the audios that go out there, and just being here. The most important thing you do is follow us in the feeds and share our product with other folks so we have more people having better conversations. It is all that simple. And once again, thank you so much. Let's return to the world of the news stuff again, starting off with the beginning of the almost rants. These are headlines ranking from 11 through 15. We will try not to spend as much time with those, although I get a little, verbose sometimes. So these are quick hits on the stories that weren't quite in range for top 10 viewing. At number 11, Meghan Markle is reportedly in talks with big name directors and producers, if you're not watching the video, those are air quotes, for acting comeback. Now, the Suits people says that Meghan Markle isn't in line for this Suits revival if that happens. Meantime, everybody's watching Suits because Meghan Markle was a big standout of starting around season 3 and going through the end of the season. She was there early on, but it took a while for her to become such a big part of the show. But because maybe they need the money, maybe they need the exposure, maybe they just can't live without being in people's faces, Meghan Markle is supposedly in talks with other producers to come back to acting in some sense. We shall see what shall happen sooner or later. Right now, writers and actors can't work, so there's a problem. Number 12, Backstreet Boys singer Nick Carter accused of sexually assaulting 15-year-old on yacht. Check out the link we have for this in the description because it does get extremely awesome pretty quickly. But the lawsuit accuses the Backstreet Boys singer Nick Carter of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old girl multiple times back in 2023, including a cabin on a yacht. These are stories we don't want to get into. We put out things because they seem like they're newsworthy and they're interesting. You thought it was interesting enough to sort of waver around in the range, and it is number 12, so it's pretty engaging. But we want you to kind of read it for yourself if it's one you want to go deeper into. We just don't want to go there right now. Number 13, it was hard to not think this one would not be a top tier story, but it was based on the way I guess we split it up there. The 13th story headline is Hurricane Idalia makes landfall on Florida's west coast as a dangerous Category 3 storm. The storm was out in the Atlantic, or out in the Gulf, I should say, made its way up to a 4, hit land on a 3, literally like in the middle of morning time, stayed as a 1 all the way through Georgia and the Carolinas and went back out into the ocean and is going its own way. It turned straight right and it's going to go hopefully die in the middle of the ocean someplace. Not a lot of life lost. Pretty good bit of damage to be taken care of, as these things are. We will keep up with the upkeep on that one. As you know, natural disasters have been sort of a thing that pulled me in because as a news person, weather events are things that bring in news. And as a person who got our house trampled by a weather event, a tornado coming through our neighborhood and tearing our house down, which is still being reworked, now I have a bigger focus and more thoughts and prayers and love for people dealing with these things because I'm literally doing it myself. Insurance companies and contractors and time and place and things like that. And number 14, Steve Harvey addresses divorce rumors with the quote, I don't know what y'all doing, but find something else to do. We're going to leave it pretty much at that. The rumors and innuendo, because a lot of these things that are conversational and interesting are just, being nosy about folks, have Steve Harvey dealing with possibly the third divorce in his lifetime with his current wife. And right now he's saying they're not happening, so we need to butt out of his business. We shall probably not butt out of his business, but we also shall see how this plays out. And the story at number 15 this week, Selena Gomez, that is her, deletes Only Murders Instagram post after being accused of breaking SAG-AFTRA strike rules. Now, Selena Gomez is both a producer and a star in Only Murders in the Building, the third season playing right now. She put a post on Instagram with a video from the set of the series, but pulled it down pretty quickly because the other actors and writers who are striking right now said it's a violation. It's promoting a show that she's currently in that actors can't do. That's part of the rules in the actual strike going forward. We shall see how this plays out and whether she believes she actually broke a rule or not. Like I said, she's both a producer and an actor, so she lives on both sides of the fields, if you will. Although those producers have their own union and they may go on strike too. It gets really, really weird and crazy for this end. So right now, no productions going on for any new things going on. So anything that's already built in is going to have some hiatus time because they have to get back to production to finish up some things. And anything that's sort of in development, not being development. Literally no writing being done right now. We'll see how this one plays out as the actor strike and the writer strike continues and what entertainment will mean. As I've basically said many times, that means a lot more South Korean stuff on Netflix because they're not striking, and South Korea is a big bane of actual content for the streaming services. Take a quick reminder to tell you how to find us, what to do with us. Starting off with our website. This is theconversationproject.com and the email address, theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Go to our website to learn about us. Go to the email and talk to us. Talk about us, if you will, so we can keep on keeping on. Also, the feeds. Remind you they're at facebook.com/This is a Conversation Project. And we still have twitter.com listed because that's where it actually goes. Or Twitter or X. th_conversations where we are for there. This is a transition so we can get into the almost relevant story of the week. This story no one truly cared for. As I said earlier, this story is 1,065,900% less engaging than naked pictures of Bad Bunny, which I can totally understand. The headline for the almost relevant story of the week reads like this. U.S. sues SpaceX for alleged hiring discrimination against refugees and others. Now, hiring discrimination should be something that's a bigger thing on our radar. Because of SpaceX, I guess people just sort of didn't care. The quick hit on this one is that the U.S. Department of Justice is suing SpaceX and did it on last Thursday, for allegedly hiring discrimination against refugees and asylum grantors. The Department of Justice is seeking fair, considerable, and back pay for people who were deterred from and denied employment at SpaceX due to the company's alleged discrimination. In addition to undetermined civil penalties, SpaceX did not reply for comment, and they probably won't until they're taken officially into court. With that, we're done. We have gotten through the top 10 stories of the week per you, plus a little extra seasoning to give you what actually kind of happened for the week. We are glad to be a part of your lives. We're thankful that you are here with us, and because we can't do a show about news that is conversational without people having conversations about that. That is what you guys do. Literally, give us words to put into my mouth. Make sure you are following us on our feeds on Facebook and Twitter, or X if you're calling it that right now. And you are engaging in the stories we post every 50 minutes, even on the weekends. For every 50 minutes, 24/7, you look for a story, it's there from various places. Some of them are more hot and heavy. Some of them are just really weird. But if you like it, we'll talk about it. It gives us something to talk about every single weekday morning in things you might have heard. And of course, the true top 10, the true top stories for the weekly wrap up. As you're seeing this come into your feed, be prepared in the next couple hours for the story of the week, which will come down as well. This week, we're talking about Britney Spears and her divorce and some of the weirdness that is Britney Spears that has led to the divorce. We'll be back again with another one of these things, top 10 stories for the week on next weekend. So what stories will you tell me to talk about next week? I won't know until next week. So we'll all both find out pretty much together. Thank you so much for being a part of the family. Make sure you're staying limber and staying hydrated and staying on task for all the grand things you are here on this world to do. We'll see you next weekend.